It's a pleasure to hear Ross talking about what he's done with the Institute of Play, because I've known the Institute for a long time. I've been to see them and talk about the work that they are doing, and we are very inspired by how they include play and games in schools, in difficult situations, looking at policies and so on and so forth. So these are the things that we are trying to look at in terms of HE, because higher education, we need to make sure that we have the right platform for us to show that using games and play for teaching and learning is evidently useful and effective, and how can we make it easier for anyone to onboard and create their own process, programs, and whatnot. So what I'm going to talk about today is what we are doing at the university and beyond, and see whether this will inspire you to create your own programs, to create your own processes, and to work with your students and see how you can innovate the way you teach and learn. And students are here. I'm sure that you love to use different types of games, digital and non-digital. How can we co-create experiences for you that will allow learning to be more engaging and fun? Because we do need to enjoy what we do so that it will perform better. That's what I believe in. So I'm based at this floor. So as Ian Dunn said before, you can try and see us and then give us a hard time. Challenge us as we challenge you as well. So that's Ian Dunn. So the place that we have on this floor is we are trying to encourage students to work together, to co-create, and to be more engaging with each other, so that they would learn about empathy, they would learn about teamwork, they would learn about the different things that we are doing on this floor. And it's quite great to have different spaces like this. We have not tried to do the Sermon on the Mount yet. I think I should one day. And so this is where we are. We are interested in motivation. Seriously, it's like how can we engage people with serious topics and challenges? When I was in school, when I was at university, I get bored with writing one essay after another. That didn't do me any harm. But the experience of being at the university was so stressful that it was quite hard trying to juggle being a student with having no income and having to learn and do your assignments and your exams and whatnot. So how can we encourage students to experience being a student at university, having a lot of fun with the subject that they are learning, the connection between the subjects that we are teaching them, and how can we provide the right motivation for them and to work with them as well. It's not us creating something or a product for them. It is a process that we can go through with the students to be able to create something that will be meaningful for both ourselves as educators and students. So we believe in the power of play. We believe that we do need to use a platform or a method or a process that will allow us to understand the knowledge that we learned in higher education. How do we connect this knowledge, and how do we be creative with the knowledge that we have gained in the different modules, the different courses that we have gone through. And I believe in creating experiences in learning, the experience design in terms of how we want someone to engage with a topic and connect it with different other topics that they're going to learn throughout the year, throughout the 3 years. It is not an easy fit, but this is something that we can actually work on together in trying to find the best platform, the best process that will allow students to onboard in the learning and to create a habit in terms of mastering the different topics and subjects that they will go through. So creativity is one of the key things that we want to push in terms of what we are trying to do at the lab. How can we encourage students to be more creative, critical in their learning, to have in-depth understanding of the topics that they have learned and they are learning, and how can they use this to create sort of like opportunities for themselves. For example, the different skills that you would learn through play, the different skills that you would, in a way, experience with your fellow students as a team, the different disciplines that you will engage with, that would really build your portfolio, build your understanding of your own topic, and the general overview of what is actually out there. How can I contribute to the society? How can I contribute to the world of works? So it is key for us to look at the different types of skills that we need. And I believe that play is one of the key processes that we can go through in terms of engaging with different variables, engaging with different emotions. How can we connect emotions with the different topics that we learned, the empathy, and so on and so forth. And for us to look at play and games at the university, we are looking at it through different projects which are initiated by staff across the university, because our role is to challenge all of you to really look at different ways of creating or designing your teaching, and for students to look at play in how can you scaffold your own learning to make it more interesting and engaging. So our projects are funded by the university, funded by external funders like the EU Commission, HEFKI, which is the higher education funding of England, as well as international funding in terms of us working with different partners across Europe and internationally. So we can try and learn how can we create something that would be useful for different people, different individuals from different backgrounds, diverse disciplines and interests and knowledge. And there are two key things that we are looking at. The first one is how can we use games and play as a tool for learning? And there are a lot of resources out there that would, in a way, help you to understand how you can actually use games in your teaching, in your learning. There are different simulation games, role-playing games that you can use within your classroom settings, and Ross has showed some of the physical interaction that you can have in your classroom as well. And this is one of the things that we are actually interested to see how you can actually help people to discover the topic in a more fun way, onboard them in the learning, get them to explore the different ways of learning this particular topic, and master it at the end. And it is not a linear process. It is non-linear. We want to encourage students to do their own research around and beyond the topic that they are learning. So we want them to have curiosity in terms of learning. So play can actually provide that. And failure. Fail is first attempt in learning. This is what I believe in. You know, if you have done it wrong once, it doesn't mean that you can't do it correctly the next time. So I think we need to have this mindset that, where I call it a play mode. If I want to do something and that I didn't really want to do, for example, in my job I have to write journal papers and stuff, it can get a bit dry and boring. So what I do is, I say, let's just play. Let's just draw things, create something. I might not use it for my journal paper, but I might use it for my journal paper. So as you go through that play process, 1 hour, 2 hours a day, that would help me to really focus my mind and make it more interesting and fun in terms of doing something as dry as writing a journal paper. But yeah, so there's one example that we can actually go through. But most importantly, the second thing that we are very much interested in is, can we use the creation and the co-creation of gameful and playful activities or solutions as a learning process? As Ross mentioned before, a game system is very systemic. We can learn about the different parts, the different components, and different rules. Can we use the process of creating such experiences as a learning process? And we have done this at the university. We have implemented the use of game design in different modules where it has been used as part of the assessment. It is not about the product at the end. It is about the process that you go through in terms of trying to understand the problems that you're trying to solve How are you going to create something around it? How can you create playful, gameful activities or solutions around a particular problem, play testing it, and interacting with stakeholders that will allow you to understand how can you have purpose and meaning in your learning, and how can what you are going to create will improve someone's life, perhaps. So as an example, there's a video I'm going to show next.
Go up.
So if we look at this example, if you don't focus on the product, but if you look at the process that has gone through in terms of creating that particular product, you will learn about engineering, you will learn about different STEM subjects, you will learn about art, you will learn about games, you will learn about a different system that goes behind that simple product. So if you can look at the process as a learning process, there's a lot of value there in terms of us encouraging our students to work with students from different disciplines. And it's quite interesting to see what they can come up with, because I always believe in creating something that has purpose and meaning that will encourage us to be better citizens as well. If we can create something that would solve problems or challenges in the community and use our learning as part of that. So I think it is powerful. And I believe there is a huge value in terms of using game design as a learning process. From lower level thinking to higher level thinking, from understanding a subject through to creating, applying, and reflecting. Reflection is key in terms of what we're trying to do. Even though if you want to just use games as a tool for learning, the reflection around the experience is what we found very interesting and powerful for the students. As well as creating a game, reflecting on the process of creating a gameful or playful solutions is powerful in terms of getting them to really think about what they have learned, how they have learned it, how they have applied it, how they have interacted with each other, how they have interacted with the users who are going to use their solutions or programs or activities. So I think this is one thing that we really want to push at the university in HE. And the way we're doing it here, I'm not going to talk about the two models that we have, but just to show that we try to make sure that we would keep it simple. Try to look at creating experiences or solutions as a holistic approach, starting from what is the actual problem. And the reason why we have this, I remember like a few years back when we first started the lab. Because my background, I was based at the Serious Games Institute for a few years. And I kept on getting colleagues from across the university saying, can you create this game that would help us to teach this? And I said, okay, hang on, let's start from the very beginning. So what is the actual challenge and the problem? Can we co-create this process? And from there, we realized that actually the process of creating games It's powerful. It helps not only us as educators to understand how we can use games and play properly, and how can we use the same process for our students so they can experience the same light bulb moments when we go through the process. And we do have another model which is more scientific-based and evidence-based, and you can read it here. I can pass the link to you if you are interested. And one thing that, from my experience from the past 4 years, the lab has been set up, it's about trying not to segregate different colleagues in different groups, because I know that some people are quite enthusiastic about new ways for teaching and learning. And some of our colleagues, I said, okay, I've done this for 10, 15 years. Why fix it if it ain't broke? But I said, let's break it and then rebuild something which is better. So because of this, we want to keep it simple. So in terms of a process that someone will go through before they reach into this stage where they say, oh, yes, I get it now. I know how to do it. I can apply it in different things I'm doing. We are interested in discovery and onboarding. So one of the things that we've done is to look at, like what Ross said, design thinking as one of the key simple ideas that we have adapted. But the way we're doing it is we are trying to look at epic meaning and epic purpose. What is the purpose of all this? It's like, what do we care about? What do you care about? What do you want to solve? What do you want to create? Right? Then what can we do? Can we learn from existing play and game inspirations that will help us to create something that would change behavior, change the world perhaps, quite far-fetched, but possibly? How can we do it? Then we can be more practical in terms of, okay, right, in a team, possibly there's an engineer, there's someone who is good in computers, someone is good in art, someone is good in business modeling, someone is good in different subjects. How can we do it and make sure that it's going to work and that it is going to change behavior like what we want to change, or help someone to learn, or possibly solve world problems? And then how can we make it work, and prototyping it, play testing it, and where do we go from here? Do we go back to the process to make sure that we refine it, iterate it? Shall we share it with the whole community and implement it? So this is a process that we are trying to implement, where we are implementing in terms of onboarding through to mastery of the whole process.
What is your story? Interpret, create, and pitch your story. Create narratives using these key elements: people, context, and activity. The rules of play are as follows. Choose the theme of your game. All players draw one card from each element deck. Using your cards as prompts, create a story on a narrative concept based on the 3 elements. Players then share their story and vote for the best story told. Use your imagination to interpret abstract and subjective cues. A fun space for peer questioning and feedback, where individuality is important for collective creativity. Get everyone involved. What is your story?
Right, so this is one example that I can show, and you will have a chance to win this later on anyway. This is just an example to show that how you can get inspired by existing play and games. For example, we were inspired by card games, story dice, experience design, which is not a game, is a concept of how you can create experiences. And believe it or not, this was created in a 2-hour session, right? worked with an artist, and we all sort of like chipped in and what we want to do with this. And the beauty about this is, because what we wanted to do is to get people to be more, to help people to have more empathy in terms of trying to understand where someone is coming from. Even if you look at the same visual muse, you will have different interpretations of those different visuals. And everyone has got different background, and the way we interpret things is different. So we want people to understand and respect one another and questioning one another in a more respectful way. But anyway, that was the original idea. But this game has been used in different countries, in France, in China, in Malaysia, in Trinidad, and they are using it in different ways. That is the beauty of it. And the fact that everything that we have is on the Game Changers website, which is gamify.org.uk, so you can download it for free. And I received text message from a tweet from someone from France about a couple of weeks ago, saying that she spent the whole afternoon cutting the cards. And it's quite good to see that what we have done in 2 hours has really impacted so many people out there, beyond our belief. So this is just to encourage you to create something that can actually change other practices beyond your own. Yet this is another example where you can use any existing entertainment, commercial, physical gameplay out there. You can use all sorts of different things that you can try and remold it or remix it and create a learning experience out of it. So I believe that this process of trying to get inspiration from existing activities is key to our existence, because at the end of the day, it's about our creativity that will keep us going. That will make us better than robots. If they say that robots are going to take over the world, sort of thing. But anyway. And just to show you an example of a digital platform, because we have talked about something which is non-digital into something which is more hybrid, like the escape rooms using Skypes and whatnot. And this is an example of a game which is created by a student from the engineering faculty and a student from the arts and design and 2 lecturers from the languages center. So this took a long time, but I was not really interested in the product. I was interested in seeing how they interact with one another and working with each other. And they worked with each other for more than a year and a half. So it's good to see that we can get staff and students to work together and create something that they can use at the end of it. But as we all said, it's not about the product, it's about the process that they've gone through. And Tyrone has been with us for, I think he was with us for about 3 years. He graduated this year with the first class and working in a company in Birmingham. And within a week, he was actually leading a team because he's that good. But anyway, so just as an example of the students who have worked with us. And this is a new iterations of Game Changers or game design thinking, but it is implemented in Malaysia. So it's quite interesting to see how the same approach can be made more localized to what the Malaysian culture needs. And we work with schools which are in remote parts of Borneo. And it's quite interesting to see how they engage with the different games which were created by the teachers in the different schools. And this approach is key in terms of how can we engage students in the creation of playful and gameful activities that can help not only your teaching, but the learning of the students. And you can read a lot more about the different examples from colleagues across the university on gamify.org.uk. But now it's your turn. This is where you get to win some of this. Easter eggs. It's not Easter yet. And watch your sorry cards. Right, so what I want you to do now is get in a team of 2 to 4 with people around you. You don't have to move around. So identify one another. Who do you want to be in teams with? Right? Right, chop, chop. Right, if you've got your group, put your hand up. You got a group, right? You're in your groups? Yep. 2 to 4. Right? Okay, good. Right, and the rule of play is, this is like a flashcard game. 2 cards will appear on the screen, right? The first card will be your game inspiration or play inspiration. Card 2 will be the topic. So what I will need you to do, your mission is to create a new game or any playful activities in 2 minutes. I will play a game. I will play music, and this music is going to be your earworm for the next few hours. Some of my colleagues say, stop playing that. Yeah. So when you have created the game, anytime within when the music was played, put your hand up quickly so that we can identify those who are going to give a description of the game. What is it for? And how are we going to play it, sort of thing. So the first 2 to describe their games will win this and this. Your whole team will win it, right? Each. However, for those of you who are not able to share your stories because of time limit and whatnot, if you tweet your game, there's always a catch. If you tweet your game at remixplay2 hashtag, you can come and claim your prize after the keynote from the game master, Luca, at the back. Yeah, he's at the back. Yeah. So you can claim your prizes. You can get chocolates and biscuits and whatnot, and cards, if you like cards better. Right. Before we play, I'll give you an example. Right? So I will flash these 2 cards. Say that the game card is hide and seek. Everyone knows what hide and seek is. It's the best game in the whole wide world. Seriously. I love it. We still play it. I said that I'll hide and you find me. I'll be at home. Not coming to work, but anyway. Say the topic is sales. Right, how can I create a solution that can help sales or teach sales perhaps? Possibly I can do a Willy Wonka approach. Can I put something in a product and get my customers to find a set of it? Once they manage to get a set of different items in the products that they will buy, they can win a prize, perhaps. So meaning that my customer would buy as many of my products. If it's chocolates, if it's this car, I think we should do that. Hide something in this and get people to buy them. But anyway, yeah. So there is an example, a simple example of how you can use hide and seek in addressing this. Right? Right. Are you ready for round 1? We have 3 rounds. 2 rounds first, and then 1 round at the end, so you still get the chance to win. Right, the first one. to. We've got to. Right. So can you describe your game and what is it for?
So in our Pictionary, you draw 2 cards
Right.
rather than just the normal one. One card is the country that you are, and the second card is the country that you're drawing. So you have to draw the other country from the perspective of your country, and the guessers have to guess both.
Very good. I think we can get that game and IPR it. The next one.
Okay, so in our game, you draw a card, it's got a country on it, and there's a list of certain like cultural things they have. Say if it's France, maybe there's like croissants and things like that. And basically, you have to draw certain cultural like things in this list, and the first person to notice what like country you're drawing cultural things of like wins the point. And it's like to encourage people to like learn about like the culture, and like the faster you do, the better, I guess.
Fun. Right, the second one. Ready? It's ecology. Go on. Done. We got two. Right. First one.
Called Go Go Eco, and you go around as in Pokemon Go, and you've got to get specific species of flowers and plants, and you learn about the various horticulture in your surroundings.
Very good. Thank you very much. The second one.
Ours is a bit similar. You go around and you take photos of where you see good ideas of green initiatives happening.
Right.
And you share them and crowdsource them through the app.
Ooh. This is like a very sped up version of what we do to get students and staff to really think quickly, sort of thing. And then we give them a process of creating a game properly. Okay. Normally, it's like if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you need to spend a lot more time in trying to work with your team. And going through the process is more interesting than the actual product at the end that I found. So yeah, so you can use this in any different ways in your classroom. You create your own flashcards that will allow students to really interact with the topic quickly, and then they'll be able to hear different ideas from their peers, which will make it more powerful than us telling them stuff. So, yeah. So we have an experimental module that we run at the university based on the concept, where 30 students are actually going through this as the Advantage module. For those who are not from the university, the Advantage module is a module that would help students to gain employability skills and whatnot. So we implement playful design thinking in the classroom, which is quite interesting. And I'm going to show you some of the feedbacks that we receive. They are not all wonderful, but you would learn, and you can see that they've gone through the process. And these are the example of different products that they created, which is great, because at the end, we were telling them it's not about this product, it's about the story behind it, the reflection of this. And this is what we use. And we are interested in the creative process. So they will have to reflect. They have to use pen and paper if they want to reflect on the experience and the process, what they have learned, how they have worked with each other. And the feedback that we receive from this is quite interesting. Right, from confusion, no, what's happening? Why are we doing this? Through to curiosity, to light bulb moments. I'm sure that those who are teaching, and students as well, the first thing a student will always ask, how can I pass this module? I said, hang on. It's not about passing a module, it's about changing the world. How can this help you to be a better citizen and whatnot? But yeah, so it's quite interesting. From the beginning, they were like, but how are we going to pass this? Why are we doing this? Why are we playing games? Why are we, right? Then they became so curious because some of their peers got it immediately. They said, why, and whatnot. So some were confused, right? And then when they go through the process, they learned a lot of different things. They learned that serious stuff can be fun, and fun stuff can be serious. And there's a potential to send important message in a fun and enjoyable way without preaching to anyone, right? And it was more memorable when I was learning through playing. Who would have thought learning can be fun, so on and so forth. And the second thing that they reflect on is empathy. They realize that having empathy in every single thing that you do in your learning process is very important. The appreciation of different mindsets and skill sets. The empathy at the core of it will be another useful skill. Knowing that you can create something to help others is rewarding. This is what we want our students to have. In every single modules they do, that they will think about how can I use what I've learned to change the world. I like to use that word, change the world. But it's something that we should think about as educators as well. How can we change the world around us, the community? Being imaginative and empathic would greatly help the whole I'm missing from my course. This is one of the students said, and it's quite refreshing to hear that. And the third one is purpose and meaning, the meaning behind what we do. Create something with a purpose beyond the initial function, developing an experience rather than a product. So they understood that it is about creating experiences. It's about engaging with the stakeholders and the beneficiaries that you will be working with in the world of works. How can the creation spread message that would reach through other people and would leave a mark inside them? I think I quite like that, in terms of how can you influence and impact other people around you through your studies. Something about being more ethical, change the real world issues, and create something to help others. So if we can instill this sense of purpose and meaning in every single thing that we teach and what we learn, that will help us to engage with the topic better, and not just for the sake of passing exams. I know we need to get the certificate so that we can get a job and whatnot, but we have to remember we have to go through interviews. We have to show them that we are just more than just a piece of paper, right? Creative process. The process itself that they reflect on, the fact that now they realize that it takes many wrong ideas to create the right one. And it doesn't matter if it's wrong. It doesn't matter if you fail in the beginning, because it's a first attempt in learning. I can do more than just design products. I can also design processes. Yes, it's the process that we want them to understand, how they can design it, how they can be a part of the process. Right? And the creative mindset can be just as valuable in a project as lines of code. So this is quite interesting. And doing engineering courses want to become more reliant on math than creativity, and this can help this person in the learning. And games is a form of art. So this is one thing that we want to push as well, that games is art, games is a culture. How can we embed this in the things that we do in terms of allowing us to engage with different purpose? And of course, teamwork. It's one of the key things, working with people from different backgrounds and disciplines, and this is one thing that we really want to push. Try to work together, and yeah. And once you help them to discover and on board, they will reach that stage where the light bulb just switch on, and they will just know, right, I can use this now. That helped me to inform my other learning. So this is what we want to push. This is what we want to encourage students and staff across the university and beyond to engage with, so that we can have serious fun, learn about empathy or experience it, purpose and meaning, arts and creativity, the creative process itself, and teamwork. So these are the things that we think we want to push through what we are doing here at the lab, as well as with you guys who are interested in play and games in learning. Right, this is the end of my slide, but I've got another round of that game, right? You want your chocolate? Have you received your chocolates? Not yet. Luca is a bit slacking. Right, so the next round, Are you guys ready? Right? Equality.
We thought that the typical goal of Candy Crush, you match things that are the same. So we thought for an equality-based game of Candy Crush, you'd have a grid of people, you'd have information about them, and you have to match them together, and there's always got to be something different for each individual person in that group.
So how would that teach equality? So everything has to be different.
So it's going to teach people that you can have equality across a lot of different things. You can have equality across races, across ages, across genders and sexualities, and it's going to show all those individual differences that people can have.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Next one. Luca being disruptive.
Okay, so with this game, we would need to match different backgrounds of people, whether it's, you know, sexuality, gender, and their race and all that sort of stuff. But every time you match something, you find some information about that background.
Right.
And so the education aspect comes from that. And,
You two should work together and create this. Seriously, seriously. I think we do need a game on diversity, on equality, so that we can all have empathy and purpose and meaning in life. Right, so anyone else, do we have time for one or two more game? Because I know some people are eager. Do you want to share? No. Not anymore. Right, thank you very much, guys, and enjoy the rest of the day. There are some breakout sessions that you guys can try and test different play methods and whatnot. And if you have any questions, come and see me. And yeah, thank you very much. Oh, and finally, there is a game that's happening in Coventry. It's happening in 16 countries, 15 in Europe and 1 in Singapore, right? So this is the link for the game. If you can scan it, or you can just use that. You can go around Coventry, and they will give you a lot of different clues, and you can play STEM mini games. And you would have a chance to win a prize at the end of the game at the last location. The clue is the reception of that particular location. Not here. It's going to be somewhere else, but you have to find them. And I think we have portable charger for your phone, because once you have used this, your battery will run out, so you will have a battery at the end of it. So thank you very much, guys.